Hello, everybody. Gbenga Olatunji here. Let us look at the limitation of internal control system. The limitation of internal control system is what we want to be looking at. And you know what? Before we had earlier looked at some other topics under internal control systems. We had earlier looked at components of internal control systems. We had earlier looked at types of internal control systems, and just like we are looking at the limitation of internal control systems now, we are equally going to be looking at in a short while success factors of internal control systems. So please like, comment, click on notifications so that anytime we upload, you will be notified as we progress in the internal control systems series, because we know definitely it's going to come out. See, am I predicting? Okay, let's wait and see, but you can be sure that it's going to come out. So let's go back to what we want to do, the limitation of internal control system. And you see, every handwork of human is imperfect. Only God we can ascribe perfection to. I want to believe you will agree with me. Having established that, what are the limitations that we can think about or speak about concerning internal control system? I would like, first of all, without going by any about ranking, this one is the highest limitation or no, all of them are important, but I want us to know one thing. Because of the possibility that even the internal control could be abused, internal control that we put in place could be abused, and the people that we put in charge of it could even abuse it. That is a major limitation. I want to believe you will agree. That is a major limitation. So internal control being overridden, control override could happen, and is a major limitation. Also, the possibility that the procedure may become inadequate due to changes. And you know what? This is one of the reasons we need to revisit our systems and update them. I want to quickly apologize. It's possible there may be a bit of noise of grinding around me and like. I can't control it. It's coming into the office because of some other offices around and workshop. I believe that you will pardon me for that as we continue. So inadequate, it can become the internal control system we put in place could become inadequate for us. We could outgrow our internal control system, and that is why we need to often frequently update and revisit our statement of operations manual and the like. They are not cast in stone. As we journey on in our businesses, we must equally update our controls. So this may particularly apply if a business is expanding. Especially if we are expanding, ensure that we expand together with our statement of operations manual too. Also, internal control does not and must not outweigh the benefit. It must not outweigh the benefits we are to enjoy from it, or the loss if we did not put it in place. Should I come slowly? What I mean by this now is, let's say the cost of putting our internal control in place is in any currency 50,000, and if we did not put it in place, the highest loss that we will have suffered, let's say, is 30,000 our currency. Then economically it doesn't make sense to put any control in place and the like and spend money on it. We could have as well as convert the risk into acceptable risk. I want to believe we understand acceptable risk. We've dealt with a lot of risk and the like, and the video actually, hopefully we are going to add it to this description of this video and towards the end so that we can check it. So acceptable risk, is better we accept the risk than to spend money on it. So internal control does not outweigh the potential loss which may result if it's absent. You understand? For no reason are we going to employ an internal auditor, in which I was a major internal auditor then, and I'm still his by virtue of my training and the like. By no reason are we going to, so I'm not underrating internal control officers. By no reason are we going to employ an internal auditor and his or her salary, or the department, internal control department's salary, will outweigh the losses that we might have suffered. I hope we understand. So economically, that is another limitation that we must ensure we balance. Also, most dynamic internal control tends to direct at routine transaction. And I'm going to dwell on this a bit rather than non-routine transaction. And even before I go and dive into this, I would like to mention that even in auditing, you know, auditing, especially financial auditing, we want to look at the figures from the accounts and the like. You know what? For audit to actually be thorough, I'm telling us this as experienced auditor, we must rely on equally audit even the non-figurative. We must dwell more on more figurative, because those items, those transactions, events that can bring the organization down and ensure that the organization suffers non-continuity, they are actually non-figurative. We may not even know about them in the accounts department. We may not be able to access them from the accounts department vouchers and the like. You may need to relate with the secretary, relate with the lawyers and the like before we can know that and have access to that important information. And you know what? One of it is sufficient to bring an organization down. Okay, so routines, as good as they are, and they are monotonous, at a point people that are doing it may become more lackadaisical about it and the like. But non-routine transaction too, or transactions, they are equally important, and we must put our attention to it too to overcome this limitation that exists in internal control. Also, the possibility of control being bypassed by two or more people. Now we are talking about collusion. Management staff colliding together to override is a limitation, and we can't stop it because we are living in human world. Okay, but it's a limitation too. Also, the potential for human error in judgment. We could be distracted, lackadaisical attitude and carelessness, and not even understanding the real instruction and the intention why we put that particular policy and control in place could be another limitation of internal control systems already put in place. We are going next to be looking at the success factors of internal control system. Internal control system actually has success factors, and we will be looking at them all one after the other. We had looked at the limitation of internal control systems, and I'm recapping them right about now. And as I'm recapping them, please go and subscribe to GJAMES Associate, and our returning viewers will say thank you. And you that are just subscribing or just noticing us. My name is Gbenga James Olatunji FCA. Please like, comment, share our video, and always return to be educated on this platform. So we've spoken about the economic aspect. We must try as much as possible to ensure that it's not overweighed. That is, the cost does not overweigh the benefit, but it's possible. So it's a limitation. Another limitation is that there could be management override. Another limitation is because we are human, there could be human error even in implementation of internal control that is already put in place. It is possible that we become lackadaisical about our work and the like, and it affects the outcome of internal control. Also, as we are expanding, it will neglect updating internal control policies put in place. Is a limitation. We can easily forget it. Collision can happen at any time, and there could be our attention could be drawn to more of routine transactions rather than equally monitoring non-routine transactions. So these are some of the limitations. We are going to examine the success factors of internal control systems now, just as we had looked at the limitation of internal control systems. From GJAMES Associate Gbenga Olatunji GFC has been speaking. We have value to life. We have value to your businesses. So join us when we look at success factors of internal control systems together. Value for your time.